Hey everybody, this is Mark, and I want to apologize right up front if you hear a little bit of an echo. I'm sitting in an auditorium at our church because I love the acoustics of playing in here. So I thought I would do a video on a topic that I've been promising to do one on. Always good to keep your promises. I've had two questions that get asked to me quite regularly. The first is in regards to playing by ear. How did you learn to play by ear? Can I learn to play by ear? Or a declarative statement, I could never learn to play by ear. So the first question is in regards to playing by ear. The second question is in regards to how I arrange my songs, the process I use. How do I arrange songs? Almost every single one of the songs, I don't even know if there's an exception, every single one of the songs that I have on my YouTube channel were arranged by me. I did not learn them from anyone's sheet music. And so people ask, how do you arrange songs? I'd love to be able to just sit down and arrange a song. So I want to talk about both of those things. And in this video, I'm just going to address the first of those questions about playing by ear. And then there'll be a part two where I'll talk about how I arrange songs and maybe give you some tips and tricks on how you can get a little bit better at it too, if that's something you want to do. Some of you watching are far better at it than I am. And that's the great thing about YouTube. There's always someone else out there, another video out there to show you how to do it even better. So I hope that I'm able to be a help, encouragement, and inspiration to you. That's what I want to do. And it's okay with me if you find a better, more thorough explanation somewhere else. I just want to help you on your harp journey. The first question then, playing by ear. What does it mean to play by ear? Well, when again, you ask a question like that, you're going to get 50 different answers. When I hear someone talk about playing by ear, and because I play by ear, to me, I think about playing orally, A-U-R-I-L-Y, I think, orally, or by ear, not orally, but by hearing the music. Being able to play without the aid of sheet music. That's how I'm going to define playing by ear. Playing without the aid of sheet music. So playing by ear to me could be simply improv or extemporaneous playing, or playing from memorization. Because when you play from memorization, though you have used sheet music to learn it, you're playing by memory, and your ears are hearing the songs or the tune, and your brain is recalling where to go next. So some people are going to disagree with that, but I think memorization is a great way to learn to play by ear. So when we're playing by ear, the question then comes, if I can't play by ear and I have no talent to play by ear, can I learn to play by ear? My answer to all of that is yes. When it comes to any area of life, we're just going to focus on playing the harp. Two words are important. One is talent, the other is skill. Some people are born with an innate, inherent talent for doing something. For these people, it seems to be easier than for others to do the same thing. Not everyone is born with talent, but everyone, and I mean everyone, can learn to develop their skill to match their ability. So if you don't have a talent for playing by ear and you feel like I just gotta have sheet music, let me encourage you that you can learn the skill of playing by ear even if it doesn't come naturally. Okay, so for me it comes naturally. The very first time my parents knew that I had a talent for music was I was 5 or 6 years old, and I sat down at a piano and with one finger just plink, 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 picked out Silent Night on a piano. And my mom said, I should get piano lessons for this boy. I don't think she said it quite like that, but something like that. And I learned to play the piano. But from the very beginning, I have always chafed at having to learn sheet music because I'm not naturally good at sight reading. It takes work. Those of you who play and sight read, you know, it's a skill. It takes work. And so that's something that I'm working at getting better at and developing the skill. I have always preferred to sit down or stand with any instrument that I play and play by ear and compose what I feel. That's what I'm naturally good at doing. But if you're not naturally good at doing that, you can learn to do it. So some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video will flow over into the second video. How can you learn to play music by ear to free yourself from the chain of sheet music and play without it? I'm not denigrating sheet music. Sheet music has a place. I write sheet music. It's an awesome tool. But if you want to be able to step away from the sheet music and play something just by ear, then how can you do that? First of all, memorize the songs you can play on sheet music. Memorize them, okay? Now, someone's going to disagree and say playing by memory is not the same as playing by ear. What you're talking about, Mark, is playing by rote, not by playing by ear. And I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to argue with you about it. My point is that playing from memory, I believe, aids in learning to play by ear, because what you're doing when you're playing by memory is playing without the sheet music in front of your eyes. You're seeing it, visualizing it in your head, and training your ears to hear what's coming next. So there's this partnership going on between what you've memorized and what you're playing and hearing. I mean, it's not like you're playing without hearing, unless you can't hear. As you're playing along, Mary Had a Little Lamb, okay, you're hearing what's coming next and you're playing it. So, and in your mind, you're thinking about the next notes, or you're thinking about the sheet music that you've learned. And so it is a step towards learning to play by ear. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do then, if you want to learn to play by ear, is pick a few of your favorite songs and learn and memorize them. Memorize the sheet music. How can you memorize sheet music? There's 1,000 different ways. And probably as soon as you learn all 1,000, you'll learn 1,001. But for me, the simplest way to learn sheet music is by something I think Christy Lynn calls chunking. And I don't know if it's original to her, but chunking, where you just take a section of the music at a time and you play it over and over until you memorize it. And then you take the next section, whether that's measure by measure or line by line. You then begin to put them together in order, and the next thing you know, you're able to play that song without the sheet music. Then every chance you get, just sit down and play that song from memory without the aid of sheet music. Then add to it by learning another song and another song. So once you've memorized some, or if you want to do that, memorize, then you can move on to the next thing. If you don't want to memorize, then just move on to the next thing. The next thing to do is to take the song that you want to learn to play by ear, or there's a song in your mind and you want to sit down and play it on the harp, but you don't have the sheet music for it. What can I do? What you can do is sit down at your harp, and the first thing to do at playing any song is to find where the melody begins. If you're tuned in the key of C, I have great news for you. The first note of the melody is going to be on one of 7 notes. That's it. You have a 1 in 7 chance of getting it right. From C up to B, somewhere in that 7 notes is going to be your melody note, with one small exception. Sometimes you will start below the root, the tonic note of the key that you're in. So it is not uncommon for songs to begin on the 4th below the tonic. By tonic, I mean the root note of whatever key you're in this case C. So the G is the 4th below, and it is not uncommon. For example, Amazing Grace starts below the tonic of C down at the G. So it starts down here. Okay? So that leads me to the second part of that, but I'll get into that in just a moment. But you have 7 notes. I can narrow it down in most cases even more for you. The first melody note of just about any folk song, hymn, regular song that you might learn to play is going to be in the majority. Let me see if someone says 80% of statistics is made up 95% of the time. So I'm going to make up a statistic and say that 90% of the time, in my experience, the first note of any melody in whatever key you're in is going to be on the 1st, 3rd, 5th, or 4th. So first, third, fifth, or fourth of the scale in whatever key you're in. So in the key of C, the C scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? The first is C, the third is E, and the fifth is G. It's the same as a 1, 3, 5 for a chord progression. But then you have the additional of the fourth below the tonic, the fourth below the root note. So in most cases, there's a good chance that your melody note is going to begin on the C, the E, the G above C, or the G below C. All right? So it's not like you have to sit down and say, I've got, in this case, 29 strings on the right-hand side. I have no idea where to start. Whatever octave you're going to start in, the chances are your song is going to start on the first, third, fifth, or the fourth below the tonic note. All right? And I challenge you to find out just how many of your songs actually do that. I'm not talking about the beginning, like an introduction to the song, but the very beginning of the song is going to most often be on one of those notes. Okay? There are some music theory reasons for that aren't important. Once you find that note, and how do you find it? Well, if you know I assume if you're going to play something want to play it by ear, you know the melody in your mind. So, Oh Believe Me If All Those Endearing Young Charms starts on the third above the tonic. If I'm playing in C, that's E. And I can place my thumb, or I can just use one finger just to pick out the tune to begin with. Oh, believe me if all those endearing young charms which I gaze on so fondly today. Okay? In that case, that entire phrase of music was found within one octave, beginning on the third of the scale. And I just picked it out. Now, you don't have to sing along with it, and you may wish I hadn't sung along with it. But just start by sitting down and picking out the melody. Once you've done that, and you can comfortably sit down and pick out the melody, what you're doing when you're picking out melodies with one finger is you're training your brain to recognize intervals. It's really an interesting study to notice how often there are similar intervals in the songs that we all know and love. The same way that there are certain chord progressions that are used over and over and over again. So forget about the left hand for a moment and just sit down and learn to pick out the melody with one finger. All right, you're going to very quickly find out whether or not there are any lever changes that are necessary, or whether you have to play around the accidentals. That's another video we can do at another time. But you can do that. Now, is that playing by ear? Yes. Playing a single melody note is, in fact, playing by ear. And that's a great place to start. I think sometimes playing a single melody note can sound incredibly beautiful. Some of you who play therapy in hospice and hospital settings will verify the power of a single melody line. For example, Amazing Grace just played single note. There's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. You can do that. So start by doing that. First, find your melody note, find where the melody begins, and then begin to pick it up. How do you find where the melody begins? Well, start on it. You could start on a G. When we did Oh Believe Me If All Those Endearing Young Charms, if I take from the C up to the B, those 7 notes, and I can pick any one of those notes and try to hear the melody. Okay, let's do it. If I do the 5th, a G. Here's how it sounds. It doesn't sound right because it's not. Okay, so if it doesn't sound right, it ain't right. All right, if I could start on the F. That's just not right. All right, I can start on the C. That's not right either. But when I get to the E, here's what I hear. Ah, that's the tune that I'm looking for. So now I know where the melody begins. And every time I sit down to play that song by ear, I know I'm starting on E if I'm playing in the key of C. What if I'm not playing in the key of C? The great thing is, if the song starts on the third above the tonic in the key of C, all I have to do is whatever key I'm playing in, find the third above the tonic, and the intervals are going to be exactly the same. I just have to transpose them for whatever key I'm playing in. But the intervals are exactly the same. That is, the space between the notes are exactly the same. I'm not going to go any farther into that. Hey, try that out. Start there, okay? You can learn to play by ear. Now, I know I didn't get into the left hand and chords and all that. I'm going to get into that in the second video, okay? So I didn't want to start on that right now. But you can learn to play by ear by first memorizing songs and just playing from memory and getting your brain used to working with your fingers by knowing and hearing the notes that are coming next and your fingers getting into position for that. Then sit down and with one finger, take a song that you've not yet memorized, find the first note of the melody and begin to pick it out. Remember, try first the first, third, fifth, or the fourth below the tonic, okay? And that is most likely where your melody note is going to start, with very few exceptions. I hope that helps you. Let me know in the comments if you find this to be helpful. Again, if this is elementary, you already play by ear, well, obviously this isn't much to help you with. But I hope it's encouraging, I hope it's helpful. I want you to try it because I know that you'll like it. I know that you'll enjoy it when you can sit down and begin to pick out a melody without having any sheet music in front of you. Hey guys, have a great day. I look forward to seeing you on part 2 of learning to arrange your own songs.